Hey, Trucker Todd here. Today we're going to talk about things that maybe aren't my favorite things about Roadrunner. Here lately, things have been going pretty good, and I've put a lot of positive information out about Roadrunner, and people have always, and even I've said it, every company has their problems. No company is perfect. And a lot of people have said, yeah, we know you like it there. But what do you not like about it? And so in this video, I'm going to talk about those things. And at times it's going to seem like I'm griping or complaining. I still like working here. I still think it's the best place I've leased a truck from. But they have their problems just like any other company. And what I'm going to try to do while doing this is give you examples and kind of a storytelling mode. So before we jump into that, like always, I'm going to remind you guys, because we're always picking up new people, if you have not subscribed, make sure you do that, because there's a lot more stuff coming. I've got a big announcement regarding Roadrunner that's coming soon, and that way you'll receive a notification when something new comes out, and it's free to do that. It's the one subscription that doesn't cost. Now, also, share this video on your social media platforms. And if there's any way you can help me by giving me a thumbs up, please do that. If you hate this video, give me a thumbs down. That's okay too. And in the description, I'll put my email address if you want to contact me, or feel free to leave a comment below. I always do my best to answer everyone. If by some chance you've sent me a question or a comment and I haven't responded to you, you might want to send it again, and I'll hopefully catch it this time around. Okay, so here we go. I left Dallas, and I had a stop in Las Vegas, and then it was going down to Miraloma, which is by Ontario, California. I get to Las Vegas, I get unloaded, I'm driving down the highway, and I get a call from Central Dispatch. And they said, hey, we was just wanting to get an ETA for Las Vegas. And I said, I've already delivered there. I'm on my way to Miraloma. They're like, oh, well, when did you deliver there? I said, a couple hours ago, maybe. Something like that, 2-3 hours ago. Oh, okay, we'll update our system. Now, for those outside of trucking, we're tracked so many different ways. They could look on a computer and see that I'd already been there. They could see my exact location now. Secondly, I'm delivering to one of their partner terminals. Why don't they have something in their computer system where they can log when a truck goes in and out? It's going to go under the umbrella of a bigger issue. There are some organizational issues here, and I think that's true with a lot of trucking companies. Again, I let it go, kept on down the road. All right, I get to California. Right there on I-15, when you're coming into California, there's a scale. I pull in there, and my clearance light above my windshield, I hit a bump and it goes out. I'm not kidding. So they pulled me around back for an inspection. And the reason I say that, I had just stopped and checked everything prior to entering California. And he does the inspection. Everything's perfect, and except for that one light. I explained to him I had just stopped and checked it and it was working a minute ago. I go up there and I barely hit it and it comes back on. He goes, oh, it's working now. And then right when he was about to take it out of the computer, it went out again. And so he said what he was going to do is go ahead and give me the green sticker in the windshield. And we just did a gentleman's agreement that I'd get the light fixed. He didn't put me out of service of anything. So let me show you that light real quick, and then we'll jump back into the story. Okay, now that you've seen the light and the green sticker, let's jump back into the story. So I get down to Miraloma. Or no. Let me back up. So I get to Barstow, and I go to the Loves to get that light replaced. And actually at the time I thought maybe it was a loose wire. I had looked at it before, and it had done it once before, and I tapped it and it came back on. I said, I bet it's a loose wire. So Love's took it apart, looked at it, and they determined, no, that LED light is going out. Matter of fact, the mechanic got it to come on, and it went out again on him, and he couldn't get it back on after that. He didn't have the light. Nearest place to get it was Fontana, which is still a pretty good drive from Barstow, and so he wasn't able to help me. Now, with respect to the Loves, they didn't charge me for looking at it or for diagnosing it, so kudos to the Loves in Barstow, California. Anyway, I said, well, I can't really drive it to Fontana like this. Where else could I get this light? He said, there's a shop across the street that might have it. I said, all right. So I went across the street to the shop. And the guys, they had a policy there. They just started February 20th that they couldn't directly sell you parts. They had to install all the parts they sold. And the place was called In and Out Truck and Reefer Repair. Now that's important. I'll tell you why in a minute. I normally don't call names, but I'll mention them in this one. So they said, we don't have that light in new form, but we've got a truck out here that we can pull it off and put it on your truck. Charge you $25 for the light. I thought that was a decent price for an LED light. I realized I could have got a new one for about that price, but there wasn't one available where I was at. So I said, you know what, let's do it. I called Breakdown, got it set up to where it'd come out of my maintenance account. I'm telling him the name of the shop, and he asks me how to spell reefer. Now, in the past, I've been really critical of two departments at Roadrunner. I've been critical of the maintenance department, and I've been critical of the night dispatch. And we're going to talk about both of those in this video. So he asked me how to spell reefer. Now, anybody that's spent any time at all around trucking should be familiar with what a reefer is, even if you've never pulled one. And so that comes to another complaint that I've got. There's a lot of people that need educational training here at this company. Things that you would expect them to know, they don't know. Now, that is fortunately going to be the only complaint I have about maintenance. Well, there's a little more. So he cancels the Love's ticket, writes one up for this place. About 30 minutes goes by. He calls me back. He says, you realize that's a used light they're going to put in? I said, yeah, it's a special LED light. There's not another one in Barstow. We have to do it. He said, all right, no problem. So Roadrunner does something weird, and this is actually where most of my complaints are going to fall. They use TA Road Squad for their breakdown repairs. Now, I understand why they do it. TA also services all their trailers, and they've probably got a contract with them, and they probably get a really good rate. But TA Road Squad is horrible. Horrible, horrible, horrible. So anyway, I'll get more to that in a minute. They fix my light. I go in to settle up with the lady. She goes to call Roadrunner to get paid. Now, I didn't realize that Breakdown had sent this to TA Road Squad. So we're trying to call him. I had told him I'm going to call you back in just a few minutes. They're almost done. So he knew I was going to call him. He goes to lunch. Doesn't tell me. Doesn't tell anybody. And in hindsight, I didn't even need to talk to him. We could have called TA Road Squad and took care of this while he was at lunch. So that's the other issue, communication at times. And I guess it's this way at all trucking companies. At times, the communication could be better. So we end up having to sit there over an hour to wait for him to get back from lunch. But during that time, I'm not knowing he's at lunch. I call Central Dispatch, also known as Night Dispatch, because they're all in the same cubicle. They sit 20 feet from each other. I said, hey, I'm trying to reach Breakdown to get payment for this repair so I can get back on the road. I said, I'm low on hours. I'm not going to be able to make it to the terminal if I don't get out of here pretty quick. I said, are they over there? She said, I don't know. I said, can you look over there and see? I said, I've been to where you're at. I said, they sit 20 feet from you. Can you just look and see if he's sitting at his desk? Well, she gave me attitude. Okay, fine. Looks over there. No, he's not at his desk. I think he went to lunch. Getting smart with me, attitude. This is the one department at Roadrunner I've still got a problem with. Honestly, I do not see what night weekend dispatch does that is of any help to anybody other than issue EFS checks for lumpers, which frankly they could put somebody on call and they could do it from their home. Every time I've called Central Dispatch, I end up disappointed. And so I'm not a big fan of Central Dispatch, and I certainly wasn't a big fan of her attitude problem. So I wait the hour. He gets back. He says, oh, yeah, TA Road Squad's who's got to pay it. He said they should have gave her a number. Well, TA Road Squad didn't give her a number. She didn't know what to do. So we called TA Road Squad. They make her jump through a bunch of hoops, which I guess is normal. And then they say, we're going to email you the credit card number. Stay on the line. So she's waiting on the phone for the email to come through. They hang up on her. So she says, well, maybe it'll come in a few minutes. We wait 15, 20 minutes. Nothing comes. She calls them back because she had their number in the caller ID. And they have to go through the whole process again. I guess the first lady didn't process it. And so that's where we're at on that. So I finally get out of there. I make it to Miraloma, and by the time I've got my trailer dropped and everything, I had like 7 or 8 minutes left. I barely squeaked in there, and that's why I was trying to rush this process. I could have made it easily had the communication been better, had things been handled differently. So I drop my trailer. I take my 10-hour break there. They call me during the night, as they normally do, and say, your load's ready. And so I the next morning after my 10-hour break, I go in there and get my paperwork. Now, when you do, they give you an envelope like this, a manila envelope. And on the front of it, I'm not going to show you, it has your trip number, your trailer number, your name, where it's going, and some of them are even nice enough to put the weight on there. I go back to the drop yard, and here's where I'm partially at fault. I hook to the trailer. I look on the paperwork, verify that it's going to Chicago. What I didn't do was verify that the trailer number on the inside of the envelope paperwork matched the trailer number on the outside of the paperwork.
Give it to me.
Okay, sorry about that. My other phone was ringing, and I kind of got distracted there. Back to the story. What I didn't do was verify that the trailer number on the paperwork on the inside of the envelope matched the trailer number on the outside of the envelope. This was a rookie mistake on my part, as well as a mistake on Roadrunner's part. This is the second time that I've had issues with, and this is the organization thing I'm talking about with Roadrunner, where I've had problems. The first time, you might remember, when I had my meltdown on here, I was in Commerce, California, and they told me that, well, it was a long story. Basically, they misplaced my paperwork. They almost gave my load to another driver. Realized the mistake. The warehouse manager put the paperwork in his office so they wouldn't give it to the wrong driver and would save it for me. And they didn't communicate with each other well enough to facilitate that happening. This time, from what I'm told, they had a load going to Dallas, and they double loaded it or double did the paperwork or something, and got the two confused. And then when they figured out they did it, They fixed it, but they didn't put the correct information on the front of the envelope, so they handed me an envelope with the wrong trailer number on it. Again, I share responsibility with this. I should have caught it, but a lot of people there missed it too. And so I left there not knowing this. I got all the way to Arizona, where I spent the night. I'm trying to remember. I think it was in Williams, Arizona. And then I got up this morning, looked at my phone. I had like 14 missed calls. They left me a voicemail, said there had been a mistake, and that they wanted me to go to Dallas. I called them back, okayed that. Then I got to driving this morning. I got over here to Grants, New Mexico, and I was out of time anyway. I only had like 4 or 5 hours for today. And one of the bigger higher-ups at that terminal called me, and he didn't know night dispatch had talked to me. Again, more communication issues. And I said, well, if the other driver's behind me, why don't we just swap trailers and him go to Dallas like he was originally supposed to, and I'll go to Chicago like I was originally supposed to. So he gave me the driver's number, and long story short, we got it worked out where that's what we'll be doing. And so it all worked out, but it was another case. If there was better organization and better communication, a lot of this could have been avoided. And like I said, it's probably that way with almost every trucking company of any size or relevance. The final thing I want to talk about, and it's been a while since I mentioned this, is pay. Now, most weeks I do okay here. I've got a video a couple of months ago I did about income. I haven't done one lately. It hasn't been as good lately as what it was. And you've heard me say in previous videos that based on the research I've done, that I believe they're underpaying us by about 17%. It could possibly be higher than that because they're not covering tolls or anything like that either. But we have to remember that for dry freight, the average freight rate across the country right now, depending on when you're seeing this video, is between $1.50 and $1.70 a mile. This is LTL freight, which should pay better. LTL, for those that don't know, stands for less than truckload. And what they do, think of FedEx or UPS. It's basically a lot of freight from a lot of different places, all piled together in the trailer. So each of those people are paying a freight rate to have their stuff hauled. Individually, it's not much, but when you add it all together, it works out to a lot. And so I think paying us the national average, $1.50 to $1.70 a mile, is not an unreasonable request. Now, on their side of it, they've got a lot of overhead, warehousing expenses, straight trucks, day cabs, things that handle the freight after it gets to the warehouse. So I understand they've got quite a bit of overhead that they have to consider too. But I just feel like there should be a better way to compensate us. Now, some of you are saying, well, Todd, you've said in previous videos that you make pretty good money. I do. I'm running 3,500 to 4,000 miles a week. And I'm able to do that because the vast majority of my freight is drop and hook at both ends. But the same money I'm making here, I could probably make anywhere running those kind of miles. It should pay a little more. And that's my 2 cents worth on that. It's not bad enough that I'm willing to quit over it. I do like working here. But I'm going through right now, just between all of us, what all truck drivers go through at some point in their careers, and probably a couple of times a year, wondering if it's really worth it, if I want to do something different. Some of you may know I was a pretty successful salesperson, and that avenue is always open to me. I've got 24 years of driving experience, and so other trucking opportunities are available too. I got offered a home every day job the other day, and I turned it down because I really like working here. But this week's check did not impress me. I ran 3,000 miles, and I guess I do have one more complaint. For at least 3 months now, they've been telling me they were going to start billing the fuel to the load. This week I got a horrible check because I had a bunch of fuel that'll go on next week's trips, but I get charged for them this week. And so my check was probably $600 to $800 less than what I would have liked it to have been because of that. And so, again, I'm not saying I'm not happy here. I'm not saying I don't like it here, but there's definitely some room for improvement. And while I'm on that subject, I'd also like to remind you it's improved a lot since I first started here. I started in August, and I've seen a lot of positive change. So hang in there with me, and I'll put out another video in a few days, and we'll talk about something else. Join me on the next one. We'll see y'all. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.